This video is the first in a series of videos that I'm calling Occult Tools. It's basically me finding things in my reading that I've been doing that I see as being consistently recommended occult practices for novices or beginners, and I thought I'd sort of take those and present them in a clear way that people might find useful. By no means am I presenting myself as an occult expert or someone who is wise or in any way a sort of spiritual guru. I am very much the fool in the fool's journey of this channel and bookshop, generally. So it's more like come along with me as I learn rather than I know everything and learn from me. I'll primarily be using Magic, Its Ritual, Power and Purpose by W. Butler, Practical Occultism in Daily Life by Dion Fortune, and Gareth Knight's Occult Exercises and Practices. I have 2 copies of that in the bookshop, and if I was to recommend any of them, that would maybe be the one. It's very slim. It's only 53 pages, but it packs a punch and is very clear and concise in what it sort of recommends for you to be doing. The occult tool for this first episode is going to be Calm Mind. And Dion Fortune recommends in her Practical Occultism in Daily Life, she sort of makes the case for sorting out yourself first before trying to make changes to the universe and to the world, sort of in an understanding that that's why people approach the occult, to try and gain power over things or influence events or people. A sort of version of that, be the change you want to see in the world sort of thing. And there's also this understanding of if you do find a calm mind and create this solid foundation based on meditation, then you might find that you actually don't want to do any of the change of the world because you've already found it. And I think if you take like sigil magic as an example, something that where you're supposed to find something that you will into being, anyone who sits down and sort of tries to come up with a set of desires, wishes, will probably come across this where you start to think like, well, if I got that through magical means, is it really meaningful? Is it really useful? Does it really mean anything to me? And you find yourself basically wanting to just write, I will myself to be content. Okay, so she analogizes this with a story. There's an old story of 2 travelers who found the road rough to their feet. One said, "Let us kill all the cattle in the world and tan their hides and make a carpet to cover the road from end to end so that we may walk in comfort." But the other said, "That is not possible, for the road is longer than the skins of all the cows in the country. Let us out of a single hide make shoes for our feet, and then our smooth carpet will go with us wherever we tread." The man who wants to alter his environment until he is happy is like the traveller who wanted to carpet the entire road, but the man who has gained control of his own reactions and rules his inner kingdom is like the man who made shoes to protect his feet from the roughness of the path. We must realize 2 things then, if we are to avail ourselves of the ancient wisdom. Firstly, mental and emotional conditions have power to affect us without overt physical action. Secondly, we must not allow reactions to these influences to gallop about like wild horses, but must break them into harness. To perceive an influence is not necessarily to react to it. There is such a thing as counteracting it, and it is this which occult knowledge can teach us to do. Having established that idea, let's turn to Gareth Knight's Occult Exercises and Practices. I'm just going to read verbatim a section of his Chapter 2, Physical Exercises. Relaxation. Relaxation is an important part of any occult work, for the inner senses cannot be used correctly while there is a psychological tension, and a lack of a relaxed physical state indicates the presence of these tensions, whether they be conscious or unconscious. The mind is closely connected with the physical body, and it will be found that an intentional and systematic relaxation of the body will relax the inner tensions and thus make the way ready for useful inner activities. The first thing to do is to lie down on a hard surface. The fact that it is a hard surface will serve to accentuate the fact, in no uncertain manner, that you are not fully relaxed. Take a few deep breaths, rather in the manner of sighs, and then proceed to deliberately relax the body, muscle by musle. It is a good idea to start at the head and work slowly downwards, mentally commanding each muscle to relax in turn. And then, when you have gone through the whole body, return to the head again and see if any muscles have tensed up again. The whole body should be gone through like this, several times, until there is no unconscious tensioning. It can help to visualize the blood pouring into muscles which are reluctant to relax, feeling this fresh, red, oxygenated blood washing away all strain and fatigue, poisons, and bringing healthy, poised relaxation. Work from above downwards, for tensions are dropped, and it can be an aid to imagine the tensions and strains streaming from the tips of the fingers and from the feet and toes. The test of relaxation is that if somebody lifts one of your limbs, it should fall back limply. If one has no helper, a good physical way to ensure relaxation of the limbs is to lift each one very slowly. Try to do it as slowly as possible, and then let it fall back to the resting position under the force of gravity. Breathing. Breathing exercises form a large part of certain types of occultism. The ability to breathe deeply and correctly in a rhythmic fashion is important to occultism, although some of the more complicated techniques should be avoided at this stage. Rhythmical breathing will improve the powers of relaxation, help to still and concentrate the mind as a basis for visualization and meditational work, and also result in beneficial physical effects, in that we tend to use our lungs inadequately most of the time. The main thing in breathing technique is not to strain, particularly by constriction of the throat. There must be no forced effort. The air should be taken into the bottom of the lungs first, by the simple method of pushing the abdomen out, i.e. the diaphragm down, and thus causing the air to be sucked naturally into the lungs until they are filled to the top. Be conscious of the air passing up and down the upper throat, rather than through the nasal passages. This will prove more occultly effective. The air should be retained for the requisite time by holding the diaphragm down and the chest wall out, and if the chest is tapped sharply, it should cause part of the air to be expelled, thus proving there is no barrier in the throat or mouth. To breathe out, suck the abdomen in, i.e. the diaphragm up, so that the air is dispelled naturally and is felt to leave the top of the lungs last of all. Keep the breath held out by use of the diaphragm and trunk muscles. For general purposes, the fourfold breath is the most useful. That is, inhale slowly to a count of 8. Retain the breath to a count of 4. Exhale to a count of 8. And hold the lungs empty to a count of 4. The speed of counting should be according to individual preference. It is important to avoid strain or over-breathing, which will give symptoms of dizziness. Rhythmic breathing can be done whilst relaxed as part of the physical exercise, or at any time of the day in almost any attitude, perhaps whilst out walking. It will also be used to advantage prior to any of the mental and imaginative exercises described later. Properly done, it will result in a general feeling of well-being, with the whole body seeming to vibrate with beneficent power. The sensation is unmistakable once it is experienced, though it must be a sensation. These relaxation and breathing exercises are basic to all practical occultism and should be sedulously practiced, not only as the foundation for all future work, but for their own sake and the physiological benefits that will accrue. Note: relaxation and rhythmic breathing should be done prior to most of the exercises outlined in this book. It is most important before starting any occult work to have your system working rhythmically and smoothly. It just seems that that is the most foundational thing, is a calm mind. The ability to get into a neutral, meditative, calm state from which to work and from which to start doing occult work. The next occult tool I will be looking at is imagination or visualization, which seems to be, to me, fundamental beyond anything else when doing occult practice. It seems to be the sort of state or plane of existence that a lot of this stuff is happening on. And I know that's the view of lots of occult practitioners, which doesn't diminish it or make it less real. Anyway, we'll get into that in the next video. Thanks for watching. I hope it hasn't been too jarring to have a voiceover on this video. I think from now on I'll just be using this mic in the videos in general. And yeah, let me know in the comments what kind of things you would like to see me cover. The chaos magic video has been doing really well recently. It's over 3,000 views now and got a few hundred likes. And I think that's been responsible for me getting a few hundred subscribers in the last couple of weeks. So yeah, thanks for watching that and liking it. If there's anything in that sort of this, I would say one thing I would say is that these occult tools all work really well with chaos magic. So I see this as being in the same sort of genre. But if there's anything more specific that you would like me to make a video about, please feel free to let me know in the comments. And yeah, share it, like it, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Check out Fool's Journey Weird Books on Instagram and check out the bookshop at foolsjourneybooks.com. Thanks for watching.